What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to another day of math with me. So quick story, I got a little brother who's taller than me, and a few summers back he bought a street bike, like a Ninja. Well, I grew up riding dirt bikes and quads and all that good stuff, so obviously I asked if I could ride it. So he let me take it out, I rode around for a little bit, and I'll tell you, it was awesome. So much fun. I don't know if you ever ridden street bikes or dirt bikes, but make sure you guys do it. Anyways, he did get a little bit of a video of me riding it, so short clip, about 3-4 seconds, but I figured I'd let you guys see it, so enjoy. Walker! Alright guys, I hope you liked the intro. A few announcements. You guys do have a test this week on Thursday starting at 10 a.m. Again, we're going to go with 2 groups. If you can't make the first testing period, then you can always email me and we'll set you up for the second testing period. For geometry, you guys will be taking your test on chapter 10. You may use one side of a 3x5 inch index card. For algebra 2, you guys are going to be taking your test on chapter 12. You may use both sides of a 3x5 inch index card. If you guys have any questions and would like to review, Wednesday is our review day. So make sure you email me and I'll set up a time where we can somehow figure out a way to probably use Google Hangouts and we can work through any review questions that you guys do have. Again, you guys got to be emailing me if you have questions. I don't know if you do unless you email me. So again, communication is big. Make sure you guys are letting me know if you'd like to review and we can set up a Google Hangouts or anything else that you guys may need. Or I can make a video if you guys want. I can make a video going over certain problems. You guys also have homework that's due at midnight tonight. Instead of being 3 p.m., it's going to be switched to midnight from now on. Last thing I want to go over is homework solutions. I still want you guys to be able to make corrections to the homework that you have. So instead of correcting it in class like we would usually do, I'm just going to email everybody the solutions and you guys can look over it and then make the corrections on your own. Again, let me know if you have questions. Alright, enough of me talking. Hope you guys enjoy the lecture. Alright guys, today we're looking at 12-7C and all we're going to be doing today is just reviewing. So my idea for this video lecture is that I'm going to take the same system of equations here. I'm going to go through all 3 methods of how to solve for these solutions. So we're going to start with substitution, and the nonlinear systems that we're looking at is x squared plus y squared equals 8, and the second system is x squared minus y equals 6. So we're going to be doing this by substitution first. Very first thing I'm going to do is say, well, what would be an easy way to substitute one equation into the other? So when I look at my bottom equation here, notice I have the x squared here, x squared there. Well, if I can solve for x squared, I can take that part, once I solve for it, and then eventually substitute in for this x squared. So I'm going to take my second equation, I'm going to solve for x squared, so I get x squared is equal to y plus 6. Just add y to both sides. Now I can take the y plus 6, I'm just going to substitute it into x squared right there. So this will give me, x squared plus y squared equals 8. I'm going to substitute this in right there. And I get, after I substitute, y plus 6. So that's where the substitution takes place. Now, I have, if I rearrange this, y squared plus y plus 6 equals 8. Notice that I can set this equal to 0 just by subtracting 8 to both sides. That gives me minus 2, set equal to 0. And now I can factor this using a's and b's. Now, just FYI, if I had a leading coefficient other than 1, I could use the quadratic formula to factor that. You may have to do that. So once I get to this point here, I'm just going to use a's and b's to factor. So I get y plus 2, y minus 1 equals 0. Solving for y, I get y is equal to negative 2. And y equals positive 1. So those were my 2 solutions for y. But now I need to solve for x. So to solve for x, let's start with this guy here, y is equal to negative 2. I'm going to plug it back into one of my two original equations up here. Doesn't matter which one I can pick. I'm just going to go ahead and use this bottom one. I'm just going to plug it into that right there. So what this gives me, when I substitute, I get x squared minus y equals 6. So I'm going to take the negative 2, plug it in for this y. So I get a negative 2. That gives me x squared plus 2 equals 6. X squared is equal to, subtract 2 from both sides to get 4. Square root both sides. Get x is equal to plus or minus 2. So these two guys are linked together. So my solution set, my first coordinate, I get 2, make sure the x comes first. So I get 2 comma negative 2, and then negative 2 comma negative 2. So I take x, y, and then do it again, x, y. That gives me my first pair of coordinates. Now let's go ahead and look at the second value I have for y right here. I'm going to use that same equation, x squared minus y equals 6. I'm going to substitute the 1 in for y. I'm going to substitute that. It gives me x squared minus 1 equals 6. Add 1 to both sides. Take the square root and get x is equal to plus or minus, don't forget plus or minus, root 7. So that's my x solution. So, to plug this in, to get my coordinates, x comes first, so I get root 7, comma, make sure you use this coordinate, because I already used up all this, comma 1, and my second, negative root 7, comma 1. And that, right here, will be my answer. Make sure you have your coordinates. Now let's go ahead and look at how I could get these same solutions, but using elimination. Those are the same equations. Nothing's really changing here with the equations, just the method I use to solve is changing. So when looking at this, the first thing I notice is that I only have one y here. There's y squared here, so those aren't common. I could multiply by y, but that's going to be, couldn't do it that way. Not going to do it that way. Notice I do have x squared here. So those match up, but one's needs to be negative. Both are positive right now, so I need to make one negative. So what we're going to do, I'm going to leave the top. I'm going to multiply this bottom by a negative 1. So multiply all that by a negative 1. I'll do it over here. Multiply everything by negative 1, which gives me, top doesn't change, bottom gives me negative x squared plus y equals negative 6. Well then, I just combine these. I can add vertically down like this. Well, that gives me a 2. Now let's look at this one. Notice that I cannot, don't make the mistake of adding these both together because they're separate. They're completely independent of each other. So the way that I combine these, I put my y here because there's nothing else that's just a y. I look at my y squared, that's also the only y squared. So I get y squared right there. The x's cancel out, x squareds cancel out, sorry. And then I'm left with y squared plus y equals 2, which then I can set this equal to 0. Minus 2 equals 0. And notice that that is the same exact equation I got right here. So you get the same thing using elimination. Now, I'm not going to go through all the steps again, how to solve, because we already did it. because once you get to this point on both of them, you get the same steps to get the solution. But now let's go ahead and look at graphing. So how do I solve this by graphing? Well, the first thing I need to do, I need to get into y equals your equation. So let's look at my top here. So I have y squared, or x squared plus y squared equals 8. I want to isolate my y, so I'm going to subtract x squared from both sides. So I get y squared is equal to 8 minus x squared. Now I need to square root both sides, and this will give me y equals plus or minus the square root of 8 minus x squared. Now for the bottom equation, I need to solve for y. So I take x squared minus y equals 6. Subtract x squared from both sides. So I get negative y is equal to negative x squared plus 6. Notice I could flip these around if I wanted to. That'd be fine. It doesn't really matter. Now I'm going to multiply everything by a negative 1 because I want to make this a positive y. And that will give me y is equal to negative 6 plus x squared. Now again, you can flip it if you want. Just like that. So what I'm going to put in my calculator, when it shows up, I'm going to do y1 is equal to, I'm going to start over here. I'm going to take the positive case, 8 minus x squared, and take the negative case for my second equation, 8 minus x squared, negative square root of 8 minus x squared. My third equation, x squared minus 6. So that's what I'll put in my calculator. Okay, so the three equations that we're going to be graphing is first, we take the square root of 8 minus x squared. Second equation, second square root of, oops, forgot my negative. So make sure, again, don't use the minus sign here. Use the negative sign. So negative square root of 8 minus x squared. My third equation, x squared minus 6. A graph. I'm going to hit zoom 5 to square everything off. Notice I have a circle and a parabola. I have 4 intersection points. So it's a second trace that gives me my calculator or calc part to the calc up here. I'm going to hit 5 for intersect. So I'm going to select, I'm going to be looking for this intersection point first. So I'm going to hit enter because I'm on the blue graph. I want to push down to get to the black graph. I'm going to push enter, the parabola. Now I need to guess where that intersection point may be. I'm going to guess right there. And there's my first intersection point, negative 2.645. You can round to the nearest hundredth, negative 2.65, comma 1. And this negative 2.65, that's the same thing as negative root 7. Now let's look for my second intersection point. So second, trace 5. Make sure you're on the first curve you're looking for. I'm on the blue curve. That's the top half of my circle. Hit enter. Go to the parabola, enter. I'm going to go for this intersection point. So push over, right about there. 2.65 rounded, comma 1. That's my second intersection point. And again, that 2.65, that's the same thing as root 7. Let's do it 2 more times. Now let's go to the bottom curve here. The red one. I'm on the black parabola. Now I gotta guess my intersection point and guess right about there. I get 2 comma negative 2. One more time. Select the red part, black, guess for this one over here, right about there, hit enter, -2, -2. That's my fourth and last coordinate point. So those are all of the coordinate points. And again, the root 7 is the same thing as a decimal. It's okay if you solve it using this method, using graphing. It's okay if you use the decimal. Now once you find the intersection points in your calculator, you get your solution, and your solution will be the same as this right here. Now, in the calculator, it might come up as a decimal. So it would be okay if you had the root 7 is 2.65 for n is the nearest hundredth. So you could use that instead of root 7, which may come up as in your calculator. Alright, so remember, we do have our test on Thursday, 10 a.m. Everybody's taking it at 10 a.m. unless you're in the second group, which I'll email you beforehand if you are. If you have questions, let me know, and then we'll try and get that figured out. Alright, have a good day.